Many of us will think that working in challenging times is familiar to us. Many of us will think that we all saw crisis. Many of us think that we all face challenges in business and we all need to handle them and we all know how to handle them. But actually, do we? I have a very special guest today. Hello and welcome the founder and CEO of tTravel, Olexandr Buratynskiy.
Hey, I'm happy to be here and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for taking the time. You are now in Kiev, in the Ukraine, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm in Kiev, in the middle of Ukraine and in the capital of Ukraine.
Yeah. So we all know that the situation is very, very challenging. Probably many of us can't even imagine how it is at the moment, what you have to face there. And be sure that any democratic person and country is on your side here.
Yeah.
And while all that happens, you founded, I mean, let's face it, travel is an industry where you're not the first person showing up. You, from
Yes.
the scratch, started a travel blog and developed that into a thriving app with more than 35,000 users. Many people try to get into this situation with investors, privileged situation, and many of them fail. You didn't have any of that and you succeeded. How did you do that?
I wouldn't name it a success still because I want like millions and I want to build, this decacorn or something like a global company. But like we built it from the situation when first we had COVID, and
Hmm.
I was, running to all the people and showing some prototype of our application because I was dreaming of, global company, and then half a year before full-scale invasion, we had a mobile app release, and Ukrainian market was very pleased by our solution.
Hmm.
But then everything fell down because we didn't have travelers. We had people who just forcefully moved from their territories, from their
Yeah.
home. So it's a hard story, but we are still striving and surviving just because we are stubborn enough. And I guess it's a part of Ukrainian nationality, or or I don't know how to name it, but we are stubborn.
Okay. Well done. When we talk about crisis, usually people say, "Oh, there is some obstacle. There's a new regulation. Money is a bit short, or
Yes.
consumers spend more or less." How, when we talk about crisis, or what are your insights bootstrapping a startup during a time of war?
So we're still bootstrapping because like even Ukrainian investor, they invest from 10K MRR, and it's huge numbers for any travel app, I would say, on the beginning.
Hmm.
We have a lot of users and power users that use our app, and not so many people who pay for it, and we
Hmm.
revisited like the whole model, and mix it up, made it from just traditional marketplace to like some indie game vibe to beat the retention, problem with the mobile apps. And we did it actually in this October. We made it in with like indie game vibe style application that is used by global citizens, that they use by solo travelers. And
Hmm.
recently we were on Web Summit. Our audience previously was like 70% Ukrainians and 30% like all around the world uh,
Hmm.
people. And now we have 49% Ukrainians and 20 like from people from Portugal, others from Poland, from UK, from
Wow.
Romania. So when people are seeing our app, they cannot forget it. It's like a meditation for them. So
Hmm.
it's a new thing in our, I would say, time, where everyone have a clip memory, forgetting everything that was like a second ago, and the TikTokers, all this generation. But we managed to build something that is meditative enough and ecosystem in itself. And it was made under blackouts, as you said already. We have
Hmm.
challenging situation, and inside the shelters, with a big dream in our heads.
Wow, wow, that is truly inspiring. When we talk about getting a team together, because you can't do all that by yourself, how do you, especially in that situation, how do you grow and inspire a team when you don't have external funding then?
So we actually, if you know this framework like Friends, Family, and Fools that
Hmm.
many people use, I rename it, and I, I tend to name it as a Friends, Family, and Believers. The most of my team, like every single person actually, is a believer. Believes in huge vision, in that we like. The victory will come, the peace will come, and in other countries there is a huge demand for mm, adventurous time, for a vacation time that will fulfill their own strive for adventure, I would say. So it's like I I start with vision, how
Hmm.
we want to build the number one travel app in the world that will be pre-installed in each and every device and each and every smartphone. And people tend to believe me,
Hmm.
so they just join. And we have small but very efficient team. And if we talk about Ukrainians, even like only three of us of my team is in Ukraine, others are in Europe. Uh, we have team that is pretty much in most of the countries of European Union. So people just want to share like very big vision, very big dream
Hmm.
with us, and joining. They strive for building so much more than themselves, and help people to not to get in a situation where there is an unsafe and improper condition for them. So what I mean by that, it's like. mm we know that right now we are not living our best lives,
Hmm.
because of the Russia, because of the invasion. But we want this vision to be available for people who have access to it, who will install tTravel and who will see human verified itineraries, and just use it for their own good, live their best lives.
Excellent. When we now look at, I mean, the year 2025 is coming in. You are a leader in a company that you built from scratch. And you know how important agile decision making is. And probably we all heard about uncertain times, but what are your predictions on how do you want to do agile decision making, and how do you want to deliver effective leadership when the world is uncertain at the level where you work? How do you want to have the vision and give a certain prediction in such uncertain times?
Actually, a good question. Thank you, Nils. It's like my own experience before, like I was founding company, was an agile coach and scrum master. So I was
Hmm.
working in startups and enterprises all around the world. For example, I lived in Poland and worked for Swiss banks. Lived in London for a bit, and like most of my experience rooted in agile and agile coaching.
Hmm.
So my approach is do not plan for more than sprint and a half forward. So it's my own thing, but in the same
Hmm.
time, we have a roadmap with events that we want to achieve, and it's literally events, not just pure numbers. So, for example, some companies plan, okay, we need to achieve like some MRR, LTV, CAC, like some like pure metrics, but we want to achieve like what will T-Travel be or needs to be, not in a month, but like maybe it will be in 3 months, because we will set the roadmap of events and plan sprint and a half ahead of actual tasks to bring us closer to what we aimed, closer to our goals. So it's like short-term planning, which like I've heard that some people say it's a disease, short-term planning. But if we have first of all vision, then mission properly described, then strategy, how we do it, in which way we can do it, and then events that we want to achieve. So we move forward with like very huge confidence that we can achieve those. So yeah, that's my I would say that's my main approach from the beginning of starting my own business.
Brilliant. So when you now have this vision and you do what you just said, isn't there always the risk that you say, okay, you're going to bootstrapping the company and then you push a bit further towards the vision and then you push a bit further, push a bit further.
Yeah.
Isn't there the risk? I mean, how do you bootstrap a startup without burning your own team?
It's curious. The thing that actually most of those events we can learn from. Like I'm a big fan of retrospectives and like
Mm-hmm.
thematic retrospective. And in our country right now is a popular framework that we are spreading. It's after action review. It's in military and it's in business. We basically take like traditional retrospective and make it um, themed, like thematical for like, okay, we plan such events to achieve some goals. We didn't achieve it, but we achieved something else. Is it something valuable for us? Does it, fulfill our needs, or it's somehow, a building, like looks like a building step for our vision or our mission. So we can like, if you imagine like a car going from point A to point B, it's not a straight line. It's a kind of serpentine, like on the Canary Islands. I wish you would see those serpentines. Like you going by the road, and it's like naturally made. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
step forward, but like obligatory thing for us to stop and reflect on what was bad and what was actually good, what brings other possibilities for us, for our business.
Excellent. So if now entrepreneurs are listening who probably think of, okay, if I now go into a very competitive market and I try to put my idea somewhere out there, just to wrap this interview up, what are your top three tips? If someone's now sitting there and thinking, I think it's too competitive, I think it's too difficult, I think the circumstances are too challenging, what are your top three tips to make people say, let's go and just do it?
Oh, actually, the first like you can decrease it to one thing actually, but I will name three for sure. Like one thing, it's to understand that ideas is in the air and they worth nothing without execution. So when we are full of ideas and they are inspiring us, the next thing that comes after this is execution. If you're not executing each day on your idea by small steps, smaller as possible, you will make it impossible. I would say you will never be strong enough. You will never. Appreciate those steps, and then you will burn up your teams, and you burn up yourself. So the first thing is actually execution. You can
Hmm.
execute better, faster. You can execute in more creative way than your competitors, and money. They are there. There are a lot of markets that can be captured. You can capture 1%. You can start from 2%. It doesn't matter. The execution and people who wants to execute on your idea, it's your asset. It's your main asset. And
Hmm.
how we come to the second point as a people. You need people who believe in your ideas and empathetical enough to believe in you. When you're a leader, it's like you're showing the way, and those who come to help you, that's your people, right? If you highlight your dream, and people kind of treat it as a disease, right? They get it as their own dream. So you need those people always. So for example, in the beginning of full scale invasion, I had projects, as a agile coach. I was working part time and on tTravel, and I had like full time job. But the first thing that we did after full scale invasion, we um, declined all the meetings instead except one on which we asked, how are you, where are you,
Hmm.
are you safe, can you get to the safe place, what help do you need to get to the safe place. And this is a style of leadership that I have in my own startup. I say, I basically I'm creating an environment where people can grow, when people can achieve. And I say, how are you? What do you need from me? Like, how can I make you more efficient than you are now? So it's a second thing. And third thing I need to think about, because it's like first two are essential. And the third thing is like, don't give up on your dreams. I say it can be cheesy phrase, but
Hmm.
I've heard so many no's on those like 3 years of tTravel and 12 years of my career. I heard no, no, no. Like it's a tremendous amount of no's you will hear from everyone around, but uh, like our people in our audience that love our application and love what I do, for example, like a coach or like a counselor or consultant. Like show me that my work matters. You will hear many no's, but some people will say yes. And you just need to understand that you're not for everybody, but some niche will be for sure yours, and you will not only survive but also succeed in it.
These are the perfect final words. So everybody who's listening right now, go to the App Store, go to tTravel. It's a perfect app that is not only going to enrich your travel, but also when you're a travel blogger, travel group organizer, or just an ordinary traveler, it's definitely for you, I can tell you. At the end of this podcast, there's only one thing left for me to say. Actually, two things left for me to say. Usually it's one, but this time two things. So first, Alexander, be sure that the whole democratic world stands with you on the matter, and we all hope that Ukraine will come back to peace as soon as it's somehow possible. Everyone, please go to the App Store and get tTravel. It's a brilliant app. And at the end of this podcast, there's only one thing then left for me to say. Olexandr Buratynskiy, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Niels. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the talk, and yeah, we will win. That's for sure.
Excellent.